And there were 8. Bring on the conference semis of the Audi 2017 MLS Cup playoffs, and we are kicking it off right here on MLS Playoff Central, the pregame show presented by Audi, and we have a big one in store tonight, a Cascadia clash between the Vancouver Whitecaps and the reigning MLS Cup champions, the Seattle Sounders, at BC Place. I'm Susanna Collins. I am so pleased to be joined by these two gentlemen. This guy, host of Extra Time Live, host of Extra Time Radio, occasional host of this show right here, Andrew Weeby.
I'm so happy to switch roles with you. You guided along. I'm bringing the hot takes. Whitecaps fans, be ready. Be very, very ready. I'm steering the ship tonight.
And, of course, our very own armchair analyst, also the owner of a brand spanking new blazer, looking mighty sharp, Matt Doyle.
And a happy National Cat Day, everybody.
No cat pictures today,
no,
I promise.
Not today, all right.
I promise. Guys, just a reminder that the game tonight you can watch at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, and for our neighbors up north, it's going to be on TSN and TVA S2. Guys, we also have Jill Sakovitz, who is out at BC Place. Doing work. We're going to get a lot of good stuff from her. Can't wait for that. So, guys, let's get to it, right? Let's talk about this Vancouver team who took care of business in a big way on Wednesday in the knockout rounds. A huge 5-0 win against San Jose, riding a little bit of momentum right now. The thing is, I am not convinced that people actually believe that this is a team that can go on a deep playoff run despite the big win. When we talk about these Cascadia teams, we talk about Seattle. We talk about Portland. These are teams that have won MLS Cups. They have playoff success prior. Vancouver kind of becomes the redheaded stepchild in this Cascadia conversation.
Watch out, because the comment section...
No offense to Gingers, but my question to you guys is, if they're able to get through Seattle in this stage, can the perception of this team change?
Yeah, I think it does change. It has to change, right? And the reason why there is a perception is because they haven't done this before, Matt. This is a time for them to come out and say, look, we're not the team that struggles to get in the playoffs. We're not the team that gets knocked out in the knockout round. We're not the team that went down to the Portland Timbers 2 years ago in this same stage and didn't score a goal. They got their first ever win against San Jose, but the reason people aren't jumping on board the bandwagon is because it's negative 22 differential San Jose Earthquakes. Right. This was not a juggernaut they did it against.
There's only so much you take from that game. That said, you do take the win. You do move on to this part in the playoffs, and a win over the Sounders would be huge. But they're not going to be in that same conversation until they get an MLS Cup. Period. The Sounders have one. The Timbers have one. Sounders have a supporter shield, and have a dozen.
I got some numbers for you right now. Sounders MLS Cup. Yeah, they got one of those. They got 4 Open Cups. They've got a shield. They've got 9 years in this league, and they have 9 playoff appearances, 26 games in the playoffs.
Winningest team in the league over that time span as well.
Flip side, Vancouver, 1 Canadian championship. 3 playoff berths, just the 1 win from the other day. So you got to prove it. You got to get to this stage and prove it.
Doyle, you called Vancouver a one-note team, and I would like you to elaborate on this.
I'll say it's 2 notes. From open play, though, from the run of play, it really is 1 note. It's the counterattack. They don't want to have any possession. They don't want to use the ball to break you down. In the history, for as far back as we have data, since we've partnered with Opta, Vancouver has the lowest possession percentage of any team that we've tracked. That includes teams that missed the playoffs. That's down at 41.5%. And they did the same thing against the Quakes the other day. And obviously it works for them, but my concern with teams like that is you give up so much of the ball, you're inviting the other team forward, and you're inviting them to get in a rhythm and create a bunch of chances, and that worries me. The other note is set pieces, which they play as well as anybody in the league.
Now look, we'll get to set pieces. Kendall Wasson's a beast. Here's the note from the lineups that people are just now getting turned on to. No Jordy Reyna, and this is the guy in the middle of the summer that completely turned the tide for this team. They went from, you'll counter, we're not that scared of you, maybe a little more than 1 goal per game, to, oh, wow, you have an assassin that can get in between our lines, get in behind, and yes, he scores goals when he gets there. Fredy Montero leads in all offensive categories, but Jordy Reyna was the guy who changed the tide for this team, changed kind of their soul.
Well, and Brian Schmetzer even said yesterday, he talked about Jordy Reyna and his impact on the game and what a creative player he is, how quick he is on the dribble, his ability to pass. This is a huge loss for them.
It is. There's there's no like-for-like replacement. And in fact, the guy that they have replacing him in the lineup is a complete mystery to us. Nobody has seen him play a lot. Reyna, whether it's popping up on the back post or running through the lines, just being a clever all-around type of attacking player, this is one of my favorite goals this year because he works so perfectly off of Montero dropping back into midfield. Again, there's no like-for-like without this guy. It is a huge loss for the Caps, and honestly, one of probably the 3 or 4 biggest games in the franchise history.
Yeah, they better hope that he gets back for leg 2, and they better hope that they hold serve here, because remember, we have road goals now, and that makes such a big difference when you get to the second leg with Seattle having none or 1 or 2. All of a sudden, the tone of the series could change. Now, Jordy Reyna wasn't going to prevent goals, but he was going to prevent the Sounders from going forward with impunity. He was going to be a threat to them, and you saw from those clips who benefited from Jordy Reyna's presence on the field? Fredy Montero. Yep. And without him, I'm just not sure how this is going to work.
I don't know who their secondary scoring option is at this point, because Brek Shea, he could get out in the break and do some stuff. We saw him pick up a nice assist against what was left of the Quakes at that point the other day. But he's not a clinical finisher. On the other wing, Christian Bolaños is much more of a setup guy. And then you start looking at just the size of the Caps. Waston and Parker at the back, both well over 6 foot. Jake Nerwinski is 6'6". Gazal, Tony Chani, and the third guy in central midfield, all big dudes as well. I think this is a team that is playing for set pieces tonight, which means it's going to be all axe handles and machetes out there.
This is a perfect transition, Doyle. You mentioned Kendall Waston and just how immense he has been for Vancouver, particularly on set pieces. I'm going to send you guys to the board. I want you guys to break it down, his impact on both sides of the ball right now.
All right, let's start it with the goal that he did score but set up against the San Jose Earthquakes. I want to point out some things here. That's Kendall Waston. That's Fredy Montero. Notice how far from kind of the hurgy-burgy he is in here. And I want to point out one thing. That's space. Yeah. That's space that Kendall Waston should not be given, because when he's given it, he gets on this run and he wins the header.
He's going to dunk on you. And look, Victor Bernardes is a big, bad man, and he was not ready for that. And if Victor Bernardes has a, mind fart right there, you've got to make sure that everybody else is locked in on their guys, and they're not.
They're not. Fredy Montero's at the back post. Easy goal, and this is where the threat comes from. It's not just from the guy winning the header. It's from the runners off of it. Now, let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball. This is the good for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Yeah, they're going to concede possession here, Matt. That's just what they do.
Yeah, like we said, they're down at 41.5%. They don't care if you have a lot of the ball, because they're pretty confident about their ability to scramble in the box.
Now, that's a lucky break, but those lucky breaks come when you've got it and you're playing forward and you're pushing. That's the defensive play that Kendall Waston has to make. He has to protect that near post, make sure the runner doesn't give an open look. Sometimes he's assigned to track that runner, and this is the problem with giving away possession. He's going to win this header right here, but Luke Mulholland's going to pick it up, and now is where the trouble begins, because João Plata's out on the loan.
Yeah, and there's no pressure to the ball right here, so if you allow that kind of distribution to the Sounders, they're going to get up the wings and get at you. And here we have Waston. He's checking out Yurimov Sisian, but he doesn't do the right thing. He doesn't beat him to the near post. No goal here, but you don't want to give up chances like that in the playoffs.
Now, Will Bruin, he is going to make that run, and he may finish. And remember, that 1 goal, 2 goals, those are road goals, and those are going to count big time, Susanna, when the series goes back to Seattle.
Great stuff, guys. All right, another gentleman who has been an integral part of Vancouver's success, Fredy Montero. He is taking on his former team in the Seattle Sounders, and right now our very own Jill Sakovitz is with him at BC Place. Let's throw it out to Jill.
Fredy, after that goal jump-started the 5-0 win on Wednesday, what type of confidence are you playing with now heading into tonight?
I mean, that's everything a forward is looking for. For the next game, I'm going to be prepared to score the first opportunity that I'm going to have.
You told me after the game on Wednesday that Vancouver had something to prove. Is this a new chapter tonight for the Whitecaps?
It is. I mean, through the history, we proved that this team is ready, to face this stage, and we're playing against one of the best teams in the league. So what a better scenario we can ask for.
How have you guys prepared this in this short week? How have you prepared for Roman Torres and Seattle's defense?
The same way we are preparing for any other defenders in the league. We know how tough they are, and we're ready for them. Hopefully we can do good today and score goals.
Fredy, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so Fredy finally gets the monkey off his back,
Yeah.
right? He scores a goal after, I think, 11 playoff games without scoring one. He tweets after the game, there's going to be many more to come. What do you think? Has this opened the floodgates?
I think you can't say anything else at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
when you have 10 games with the Sounders where you didn't score one, and you finally get it, thanks to Kendall Wasson, a tricky little run by him. My question is, where are those chances going to come from in open play in this game?
Yeah.
That's really where he excels, and we saw it in his highlights with Jordi Reyna. I'm not sure that he's going to be the guy that necessarily is at the point of the spear tonight. I think he's going to be one dropping in, opening up those runners in behind, and maybe playing the likes of Breck in. But this team is not set up right now, to me, to be that team that can really hit you hard on the break. The personnel was all wrong.
I think if it is going to come on the break, it is going to be through Montero, Breck Shea, and Jake Nerwinski on the overlap up the right, which we've seen him do a bunch. But, I mean, you can see he's clever about fighting those gaps between the center backs. The Sounders know it intimately, given his time with them and the fact that he scored against them as well. It's going to have to be a big performance from him, especially because Jordi Reyna's out.
Well, it's interesting. Brian Schmetzer, yesterday, after training, was giving an interview. He was asked about how you contain Fredy Montero and had some very, very interesting things to say. Let's show this clip.
How about Roman just smashing him to death? How about that? Or Chad Marshall on a goal kick, getting up and heading the ball 20 yards that way and having Fredy end up on the floor.
Wow.
I mean, I had to listen to this like 3 times. I was like, is he joking? Like, is this for real? Is he that
throwing his
is he that
shoulders?
salty?
Like-
I mean, but to his point, is he onto something? I mean, do you just have to throw Roman Torres at him and bring him down? How do you do it?
I mean, you got to follow him on these little runs that he makes. And you saw it wasn't just that goal against San Jose when he gets on the end of a ball in the box. But you track him, but he's not the initial problem, Matt. He's not the one on the first ball on the set piece that you're thinking, this is the target. He's the one coming from somewhere else, and that's why you have to be very aware if you're the Sounders. Know your marks, stay with your marks, don't get sucked in by Kendall Wasson.
Yeah, and the Sounders use kind of a hybrid zonal man marking system when they defend corners especially, and also really most set pieces. If Chad Marshall or Roman Torres are matched up on Fredy Montero, then something has gone horribly wrong in their scheme, because Chad Marshall needs to be on Kendall Waston, Roman Torres needs to be on Tim Parker, and someone else further down the list needs to be on Fredy Montero. From open play, it's a problem as well, because if I'm the Sounder, you saw how Fredy Montero drifts. He's comfortable coming way back into central midfield and being a playmaker. If I'm the Sounders, I don't necessarily want Roman Torres following him that far up the field. I definitely don't want Chad Marshall going that far.
And here's the nice thing for Vancouver in this game. You were talking about missing players because of injuries. Teixeira, Reyna. On the other side, no Gustav Svensson, no Ozzy Alonso. Not in the starting lineup. And those would be the guys who would come out, track, make sure he doesn't get turned, make sure he doesn't play that little chop-chop through
Christian
ball.
Roldan and Jordi Delem, and I don't even know how many minutes those two guys have played together in central midfield this year. I'm guessing 0. So it's the Sounders are going to have to be very coordinated in how they keep those lines tight. And if they're not, then it will be Fredy Montero sending Breck Shea or Christian Bolaños through. And look, it's not. I don't think it's either team's close to their ideal lineup. But it's the playoffs. You got to figure out a way.
Well, right now, let's send it out to Jill again. She is with Brian Schmetzer. Maybe he has some spicier comments to say to her, but I'm sure he has something to say about Seattle's game plan. Let's throw it to Jill.
Coach, at training yesterday, you had some creative ideas on how you could maintain a guy like Fredy Montero. How do you attempt to maintain a guy like that and this Vancouver offense?
Well, it'll take a full team effort, because Freddie's not the entire team. He needs help. They've got good players at all positions. They were 1 point behind us in the standings, so it'll take a team effort from our guys. And we'll just try and deny him the areas on the field that he likes to play in, and deny crossing and make sure we hold him accountable when he's inside the box.
As someone who's been a part of this Cascadia rivalry for decades, how would you describe the rivalry between Vancouver and Seattle?
It's great. Our fans are in the building cheering already. I know they're going to have a packed house tonight of Whitecaps fans, so it's great. It's great atmosphere, and it's a really fantastic rivalry.
Yeah, the Seattle supporters were the first ones here in BC Place. Coach, how do you adjust to not having Clint Dempsey tonight?
It's a big loss, but our mantra has always been next guy has to step up. That's been our mantra since we've taken over, and I think the guys we put on the field today, they know this is all about. They know the importance of having a good performance up here, so they'll do fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jill. Well, here is a look at the lineup for Seattle tonight. Obviously, as we mentioned, no Clint Dempsey, no Jordan Morris, but, they're kind of used to that at this point. What do you guys think when you look at this lineup?
I like Jovan Jones on the left, up the field, because they're going to need those runners for Lodeiro to play on, and Jones has been one of the most productive left backs in the league. I think he'd be playing left midfield. He'd be one of the most productive assist men in this league as well. He's going to play those early balls. He's getting behind. He can score. But really, the question marks here come on Ship and Delem. These are not necessarily first-team players. Next man up, but, oh, man, those are not what you want in this game.
I actually question your take on Jones, whether or not he can score. He's not really a goal scorer. I know he does it a little for Trinidad and Tobago, but not for the Sounders. And Harry Ship hasn't had a great year, so I don't see them getting threats from the wing, especially with Victor Rodriguez out as well. It's going to have to be that pairing up top with Will Bruin sort of plowing a lone furrow, and Lodeiro, hopefully for Sounders fans, reconjuring last year's magic in the playoffs. Again, it's wild how different these teams look right now compared to how they looked all year.
I'm throwing a guarantee in your face right now. I'm going to put it down, man, because Jovan Jones, he heard your words. Okay, he's not going to get a goal, but he's going to create at least one, and that on the road could be all the difference in this series.
All right, so Jovan Jones getting an assist, or
yes,
at least
creating
playing
a goal.
Role.
It might be a goal, might be an assist. I just came up with that on the spot.
Split hairs.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Nico Lodeiro, because he is going to have to shoulder a ton of this offense with Dempsey off the field. And right now, I want to send you guys to the board, all right, for the Audi Player Index. Are we ready for this?
We can do that.
Can we do this? Here we go. Is it happening? Okay, not yet. Just kidding. It's live television, guys. This is how
this is the way it works. This is the way it works. But look, Nico Lodeiro's got the responsibility once again. It was the same thing in last year's playoffs. He comes in the middle of the year, and Clint Dempsey has the heart issue, and we all were thinking about Clint, but Seattle Sounders were thinking about a championship, and he helped guide it to.
Yeah, and the thing about last year is Lodeiro got to work on the right wing and cut inside on his left, and that he prefers to be that rather than a true central number 10. He's really more of a playmaking winger. And the other thing is that without Osvaldo Alonso or Gustav Svensson, I doubt the service from Seattle's central midfield is going to be as on point as it was last year. I mean, for that whole playoff run, it was Roldan and Alonso together, never giving the ball away, always getting it to the wings or even up top as early as possible and letting those guys go to work. Without that, the Sounders are a different team. I mean, it's hard to even scout them, again, because Jordy Delem is such an unknown at this level in a game of this magnitude.
Now, 4 goals in the playoffs last year for Lodeiro. They need a little bit of that in this game. Hopefully, we won't have to carry that load for too long. Clinton will be back. We haven't talked about it. How silly that elbow was from Clint Dempsey.
Yeah.
He is a legend. There's no doubt about it. He is a legend. But that is the sort of play that if you're Sounders fans, you're just groaning and saying, why? Why again in this moment, right before the playoffs begin, losing you in this away leg where, look, I would have put all the money in the world on Clint Dempsey getting an away goal.
I wouldn't have put all of my money.
I don't have very much money.
Yeah, right.
All right?
That's fair.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that it changes in this is if you had Clint Dempsey on the field with these guys, you would say, you know what, first 25, 30 minutes, we're going to go all out and try to get that road goal. We're going to try to punch him in the mouth, no pun intended, twice in the first half hour and just end this series before it even gets to halftime of the first game. Without him, I think you just have to be maybe a little more cautious, and you have to play tight and compact and say, all right, well, you know what? We're just not going to give up a set-piece goal. We're not going to give up a counterattack goal. If we get one, great. If not, that's fine. We'll go home for the second leg and get it done there.
All right, guys. Well, we talk about Nico Lodeiro. Time now to take a look at our Audi Index Player Spotlight. And I think when we throw up this graphic here and we look at these numbers, what we're going to see is that they are so much better when Clint Dempsey is on the field. I'm going to send you guys to the board. Let's check this out.
All right, Matt, let's dive right in, and I'm going to diagram a little bit for you what the Caps are doing. Their line is deep, that midfield, straight across. These are the Sounders in between the lines, and that's who wants to play. And the guy who really enjoys it most, right there, Clint Dempsey. Do not give him this space. He's coming back for the ball. He's going to draw a lot of attention.
Yeah, when he comes back for the ball, 3 defenders go with him. That's what we call gravity. And when you concentrate that much on one guy, you leave the rest of the field open for the other players, including Nicolas Lodeiro. You got to track him. You're going to get cut up.
You see all this space he has to play with. Head up. He's looking around. He's going to find who else? Clint Dempsey going straight to the penalty spot.
One-time left-footed finish back of the net. That is sweet, and Seattle's going to miss it.
It is going to be something they're looking for in leg 2, but then leg 1, it won't be there. And you see the runs here in this clip from that matchup. Dempsey, Jones, and Ladero. Check out that space that Ladero has to work with here. It is so big. He's going to come into the back post area. Right here, right ball from Christian Roldan. There's Dempsey, the gravity.
Yeah, it's the right run. It's the simple stuff, and they do it well. One-time left-footed finish, again, back of the net. You got to track these guys. Without Clinton Dempsey, it becomes that much harder for Nicholas Ladero.
Yeah, probably Will Bruin in that role. Not as much gravity. One thing I want to point out from this clip, let's just wind it back here. Oh, look who we found. Yeah, that's Kendall Waston. He's doing this. That's not good. Cannot do that in this game because one road goal could be the difference between advancing to the conference finals and going home early for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Of course, no Clint Dempsey. That means trouble for the Sounders. They're still good, above average, as you can see, as a team. But Nico Ladero, his Audi index scores go way down without Deuce on the field, Susanna.
All right, great stuff, guys. Well, for more on Nico Ladero, let's send it out to my girl, Jill Sakovitz, who is at BC Place. And Jill, you had a chance to catch up with Nico. It has been a crazy busy week for this guy, not only getting ready for the playoffs, but also welcoming a new member to the family, right?
Yes. Suzanne, I'd say he's had a busy few days. On Friday, his wife delivered their second child, baby girl, Rafaela. So that was on Friday. On Saturday, he was up on a bus with the team up here to Vancouver. I had a chance to catch up with Nico yesterday at training. He talked to me a little bit about how this year he's really found his rhythm. We know last year, he came in the middle of the season, and he still had 4 playoff goals. This year, especially tonight, with them looking to defend their title and all that personnel that's missing, he knows that he has to step up. And he's pretty comfortable in that role. He told me that he likes playing under pressure. He likes playing with a little bit of nerves, as long as it's just not too much.
Christian Roldan, Jill, probably doesn't have a ton of nerves here. He's been at this for the second year. I mean, lifted the cup last year with Jordan Morris. No Jordan Morris in this game. That's because injuries have kind of taken their toll. We see a little bit of a makeshift lineup from Brian Schmetzer. How are they going to deal with this shifting formation?
Yeah, Roldan talked to me yesterday about how, they're the defending champs. And this year, top to bottom, he said, they have a better team. So while they're not thrilled that they're going out there missing the personnel that they are, they're confident. Christian also talked a little bit about how, if they can just get through this semis with Vancouver, they'll be in a great spot. They'll have a lot of guys back, and they'll be firing at full force there.
Jill, on the other side, does it feel a little bit like Vancouver are playing with house money because they finally got that playoff win, monkey off their back, and I think they've made it farther already than most people had them pegged for this year. I have to imagine there's a kind of a sense of swagger or confidence because of that.
Yeah, you know what? The energy is different among the Whitecaps. They're a little bit more upbeat. You can tell that they're energized, whereas for the Sounders, it's business as usual for them. But talking to Carl Robinson yesterday, he said that this team is not finished. He feels that they have a little bit, if not much, further to go. He also said that this game today is going to come down to mistakes and simply who makes less. And obviously he's hoping that is the Whitecaps. Robinson also mentioned that he's confident because he feels when it comes to defending set pieces, there's nobody in the league better than Kendall Waston.
You like that?
Yeah.
That's I like that little nugget. Jill, one more question for you. Schmetzer talked yesterday about the environment at BC Place and how he was anticipating that it was just going to be a really, really great crowd. What's it like there? What are the scenes like right there?
So if you could tell, I've had a little bit of a hard time even hearing you guys because I want to tell you that I'm looking right over at the Seattle supporters, and they've been here for about 2 hours, and they've been loud the entire time. They opened up 5,000 more seats here at BC Place. I know they're expecting about 27,000 people. The energy's electric. The fans give off the very same feeling that this team does, that they're hungry and they want more.
Oh, it's going to be so good. Jill, you're also doing MLS's Snapchat tonight, right? A little Snapchat takeover? So everybody should get on Snapchat. There. We're going to get a whole behind-the-scenes look at what's going on.
I will be in the Snap world.
I love it. Great stuff, Jill. Thanks so much. Enjoy the game. We'll see you for post-game.
See you after the game.
Absolutely.
Robinson said, Kendall Wasson, a defender. The flip side, you have Roman Torres and Chad Marshall. So when we talk about set pieces, and I know you were mentioning the Whitecaps' size, and it is an advantage for them. You kind of have two guys who can snuff that out in Roman and Marshall. So that is where I'm really going to be paying attention tonight. Like when they come up for set pieces, watch out because these three are incredible.
Yeah, and you see the numbers right there. Chad Marshall is, for 15 years he's been doing it, and he's not going to be overawed by the moment. We know that Roman Torres isn't overawed by the moment, whether it happens to be in the playoffs or MLS Cup or a World Cup qualifier. It always comes back to that. Only 4 more years of that.
Yeah,
so this is, that's a heavyweight matchup. We could probably throw Tim Parker in there as well. He does good work on restarts. We're starting to sound like Alexi Lalas here. Set pieces. I will bet all of Andrew's money that's what this game comes down to. I really will. That's about $42.
Do I get the returns on that, or is it just the risk? How do
50-50,
Friendly wagers. Friendly wagers. Well, gentlemen, it's about that time.
It is.
We're going to do it. Predictions. Everybody loves predictions. So I'm gonna get yours.
I had Weebstradamus going there for a while, but I don't feel as confident as I did. I do think that there are goals in this game. I just don't think very many. I think this is 1-1. These two teams with lineups that maybe aren't ideal. This comes down to set pieces. I think that Vancouver does get their goal on set pieces, and on the flip side, I think the Sounders just find a way to break them down. I think 1-1, and that is a huge result for Seattle going back to Seattle.
Yeah, my guess is a lot of Seattle fans would take that right now. I know I've been talking about how tight it's going to be all game, but I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that Vancouver get a pretty comfortable 2-0 victory.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like this.
I feel like they're going to get an early one. Maybe have a set.
I am actually shocked by your prediction.
You know how you just have that feeling in your gut, and you try to ignore it, but eventually you have to go with it.
Okay, to your point, I have made a whole mess of my bracket, by the way, you guys. It's just
Columbus made a mess of your bracket.
I know. It's
your
it's a
Chicago
disaster.
Roots made a mess of your bracket.
I know. Well, here's the thing. I've been struggling with do I go with my head? Do I go with my heart? It's been a constant battle here. So my prediction, I have been on Team Vancouver for a good part of this season.
So this is your heart.
So this is my heart, and tonight I'm going with the ticker.
Hey.
I'm going with the heart. I'm going to say a 1-0 victory over Seattle. Little
because you want to go skiing during MLS Cup.
I mean,
you want
I wouldn't hate it.
Right,
I'll take that.
I wouldn't hate it.
I'll let my bracket go up in flames right now for that.
Also, it's a little warmer than Toronto in Vancouver. The climate's a little bit more
better
friendly.
Start rooting for the Red Bulls then.
That's fine. I'm down to do that, guys. We're gonna be back here after the game. 10:45-ish, you're going to want to tune right back in. We're gonna break it all down for you. Remember, you can watch the game 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, TVA, TVAS2, TSN in Canada, all of those. There's too many T's in all these broadcasting names, but for sure tune in. Enjoy the game. We'll see you in a bit.